Hey guys, Matt here from Geginsiz, and I'm your host. And today we're going to be talking about the top 3 backup goalies who could potentially be starters next year. And this year we've seen a resurgence of the backup goalie role. I mean, maybe not resurgence necessarily, but there's definitely been a lot of good backup goalies this year who could use a starter role on an NHL team. So using stats, figures, and everything like that, I compiled my list of the top 3 goalies who could be a starter next year, whether it be on their team now or a different team. So we're going to start off with my probably, because I have a probably, maybe, and a stretch. So my probably is Carter Hutton, backup of the St. Louis Blues. And what a performance he's had this year. He's only played 16 games. All the goalies on my list have played 16 games, actually. He's 32 years of age. He has a .941 save percentage, a 1.79 GAA, goals allowed on average, and he's 11-4-2. Now, the thing about Carter Hutton is not only does he have great numbers, which these numbers you may think are coming from a NHL goalie. I mean, that's a really great goals against average for 16 games, 1.79. Definitely something to be proud of for Carter Hutton, especially that 11-4-2 record, because sometimes what's more important than the save percentage is the record. Because if your goalie's winning, that's usually a good sign. Carter Hutton is overall a really good goalie. His age might be a little bit of a problem when you look at 32 years old age, but then you remember that goalies play pretty old. I mean, look at Roberto Luongo, even if he may or may not play next season. I have Carter Hutton either taking over in St. Louis because Jake Allen is playing good, but not to the level of Carter Hutton. It wouldn't be a shock if Carter Hutton was a starter next year, especially with that Carey Price, Jake Allen trade rumor. It doesn't seem like St. Louis is really willing to give up Carter Hutton, and they are Jake Allen. So that kind of shows their perspective on this whole scenario. And I either have him in St. Louis, or they just said, or in Vancouver, hence that. Vancouver has really weak goaltending with Jacob Markstrom, and Thatcher Demko is coming up soon. I think Carter Hart can definitely lead the team to more wins and prepare Thatcher Demko for his arrival and be an interim goalie, kind of like Brian Elliott with Carter Hart. And I think that would be a good match. So next, we have my maybe, which is another great backup goalie this year, Aaron Dell of the San Jose Sharks. He has played 16 games. He's 28 years of age. He has a .923 save percentage, a 2.32 save percentage, and he is 12-3-3. So he has a better record than Carter Hart. However, the numbers aren't as good. And overall, I think that Carter Hutton is more probably. That's why I put Aaron Dell as a maybe. And what a season he's having. At 28 years of age, he still is in a prime goalie or prime player position. He's putting up really good numbers, especially behind a pretty good defense. Aaron Dell hasn't been able to get the spotlight because of Martin Jones, even if Aaron Dell is putting up better numbers. And Aaron Dell is a very reliable 12-3-3. That is definitely a record you want to see from a goalie. And I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Dell is a starter in the NHL. He kind of reminds me of Scott Darling. However, although it may be a smaller sample size so far, because of the numbers and because of just how great of a performance Aaron Dell is having this year, I think he'll actually turn out good rather than Scott Darling and the Hurricanes. Where do I have him going? I think he's going to stay in San Jose. Martin Jones may put up good numbers also, but Aaron Dell is the younger option for the Sharks, and he seems to be working, so I wouldn't be surprised if Martin Jones was either traded or remained backup goalie, or maybe if they played in a tandem. Either way, I think Aaron Dell will be re-signed with San Jose. And that's also the interesting thing that I forgot to mention. All of my goalies on my list are free agents next year, so they could go to another team to become a starter goalie, such as Carter Hutton with Vancouver. I have. So San Jose, I'm thinking, especially because he works so well in that system for them. And finally, we have my stretch goalie, Anton Khudobin. He is the backup goalie of the Boston Bruins. He has 16 starts. He is 31 years of age. He has a .39 save percentage, 2.38 GAA, and a 10-2-4 record. So he hasn't been very successful in overtime with those 4 overtime losses, whereas the other goalies have those wins made up. But he is definitely a good option. He's the backup of Boston, as I said. So when Tuukka Rask went down, he was a big part in getting them the wins they needed. He has some really good numbers. Again, age might be a little conflicting. Someone might not want him to be their long-time starter. However, I could see him getting a starter position after the successful run. I think for him to get a starter position, just like most of the goalies, he needs to be shown off more, which he may not get too much of a spotlight considering he has Tuukka Rask in front of him, which is definitely an underrated goalie in my opinion. Not with close analysis, just like people kind of forget him when they talk about top 5 goalies in the NHL. That's what I meant. And Anton Khudobin, he's a really good option for a starter if a team desperately needs one. Where do I have him going? I don't think he'll stay in Boston. I think he's going to seek out a starter position after this really good run and go to Florida. Why Florida? Well, Florida doesn't have too much cap room to throw around, especially if they do sign free agents, which I would expect them to do, considering they have a pretty low bottom 6. And I could see Khudobin being their starter, especially if maybe competing with James Reimer, but I don't think Luongo, I'm not sure Luongo is NHL caliber next year, so I don't really think that it's either going to be, here's the scenario. If he does go to Florida, like I do have, I could see him competing with James Reimer or kicking James Reimer out and becoming backup and then later proving himself to become better than Roberto Luongo. That's the only way I could see him becoming a starter on that team, but that's just the team I thought that he would go to and be best on as a starter. So that is my top 3 goalies who are backups who could potentially become starters next year, have the stats to become starters. If you like this video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. In the comments below, please leave a suggestion for a video, as well as tell us your top 3 backup goalies who could be starters next year, where it'll go, and why. Anyways, guys, I've been Matt from Geginsiz, signing off. See you guys.